Am I about to break my Saab? That is the question. Hey guys, so you may have seen that I installed a Teyes CC3 in a Jeep Grand Cherokee Overland a little while ago, and I was absolutely astounded by the attention to detail that went into the software and the quality of the hardware included in these units. But it did raise some questions, and that is that because I put it into a Jeep Grand Cherokee and it came with a kit, how easy is it going to be to install one of these in a car that would generally take a normal double din unit? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to install it in the Saab 9.3 convertible, and I'm going to see how easy it is to connect to the steering wheel controls and generally work. But there's also something special about this video as well. As far as I know, this will be the first time that a 360-degree parking system is going to be installed in a Saab. So you're going to be able to see the car and all of its surroundings, making parking as easy as humanly possible. So when you look at the Teyes head unit, you'll notice that it isn't a standard double din size. They do include these brackets which screw onto the sides of the unit here to make it easier to install in a generic environment, but I found for the uses of the Saab that doesn't really help. But what does help is utilizing the screw holes on the back that were meant for those brackets. So what I did is I got the Saab 9.3 bezel for aftermarket installations, and I removed the internal bezel of this, like this, so two parts. What I did is then I painted the holes on the back of this unit, and then I slid the bezel over it like this so that it imprinted on here where the holes were. You can see it's left that silver residue on it. And then what I did is I drilled into each of these with a 3mm drill bit, which has now allowed me to screw the Teyes unit to the bezel, which will mean, of course, that it's perfect for the Saab 9.3 now. And there we go. So now what we have is a Teyes CC3 which has the Saab specific installation brackets. And that's going to make it very, very simple now to install. So to prepare for this, we're going to plug in the main loom. And you'll notice that you have the key 1 and key 2 wires, and that is what is going to go to the CAN bus decoder in the car to give us the steering wheel controls as well, which is good. My 9.3 convertible also has an aftermarket subwoofer, so I'm going to plug in the pre-outs as well. I need to install the microphone socket as well, and then we're going to need the Wi-Fi, the GPS and the USBs. I'm not going to plug these in right now because I need to play with them inside the car before I do that. What I'm not going to do is install the 4G antenna because I'm not intending on using the SIM card on this unit. I'm just going to use phone tethering. And then of course the 360 camera, which yes, is going to be interesting. Right, let's get this started. So let's talk about this Teyes 360 camera system. It consists of 4 cameras. You have 2 that go on the mirrors, which are these rounded ones here, and then you have 2 which go on the front of the car and on the back of the car to give it the 360 dimensions. Now also along with these you get a hole saw so that you can make a hole in the bottom of your mirrors so that you can fit the cameras, and you get rubber grommets to make sure that no water gets in around the cameras once you've made the holes. Then you get 4 extension leads so that you can run it around your car. And finally, the thing that actually plugs into the Teyes unit, and it has shown you specifically where each of the cameras need to be plugged in. Right, so the next thing that we're going to do is unplug the mirror here, like so. And now we're going to remove the 3 screws that are holding it in. Right, so here is the mirror, and if we just flip it upside down, you can see that there's this panel here, which is something that we can remove, and this is where the wire, this gives us access to where the wire comes in. If you just stick your finger underneath and just give it a push, it should just come out like this. Now you can see, so you can see the wire going into the mirror for the electric mirror functionality. Right, what I think I'm going to do is, before I disassemble this mirror, and I am going to have to disassemble it to find a way to get the wire from the camera to this hole. So before I take the glass out, I'm actually going to make the incision, as it were, with the hole saw that was supplied by the Teyes 360 kit. And I'm just looking inside between the mirror and the edge of the mirror. You can see how much depth we have to play with to get a camera in, and it suddenly gets much deeper around this kind of area here, so it looks like the camera's going to have to go here, and I'm going to do it just under the lip here as well. You know, I only recently had this refurbished as well. This is going to hurt. And now I have a hole in my mirror. So the next point of call is to put my rubber grommet in place, and as you can see, it's got a bit of a wedge shape, and that's because the mirror is obviously at a bit of a wedge as well. I'm just going to pop this around the hole so it looks a bit like that. Right, at this point I'm probably have to take the glass out. Now when you're removing the glass from the mirror, you should angle it so that you got the most amount of space between the corner and the glass itself, so that you can pop a screwdriver in. And there's a metal bar that goes around the back of the mirror frame, which holds it to the actual rest of the mirror. You need to see if you can get your screwdriver under that metal bar and lift it up over, and that will remove the glass. As you can see, it's held on by a brown and a black wire, which we're just going to remove now. So the black at the top, the brown here. And just whilst you have the glass, just pop the metal ring back around the plastic again, because that is how we're going to push it back in place again after this is done. There we go, so that's now ready to go back on when we're ready. Right, let's pop this camera in place. Nice and tight. I'm not entirely sure what rotation this should be at, so I'm just going to do that for the time being. I can always change it later if I need to. Right, so the other end of the wire is going to need to go in this hole. I'm going to use a cable to thread it through, and then it will just come out here. Right, what I'm going to do is thread some wire through this hole. I'm going to tape it to the end of this. Well, let's give this a go. Ah, it worked, look at that. Genius. Now that we've got the wire coming out here, we need to get it through here, and then we need to get it into this compartment here, because this is what's inside the car. Now this is all metal, except for this part here, which is a rubber grommet. So what we're going to do is we're just going to make a hole on the rubber and then pop the wire through. And then we have something like this. So you've got the original connector, and then you have this additional wire. So I need to start putting stuff back together now. So put the plastic cover back on under the mirror, like so, and then put the mirror glass back on. Plug in the two connectors, and you'll be pleased to know this is very easy. You just literally push it in place, and there you go. So there we go, mirrors back together again, and you have a new camera underneath it as well. Okay, so here we have standard Saab mirror, which now has a camera attached under here, and it does look good. And then we have this additional wire coming out, which will go inside the car. So now I'm going to put it back on the car. Thread the wires through the hole, like so, and line up the screw holes. Right, the mirror's back on the car. So this is how I'm doing it. I can't get the wire in the main loom, it's just not possible to get any additional wires in that. I can't even tap into that rubber grommet because there is a metal bulkhead on the other side of it. I just simply can't do it. So there's no other way to get the wire into the car, so I have opted to go straight over like this, leaving sufficient slack that it can freely move as you open and close the door, and that'll be perfectly fine. Now, with both the left and right door mirrors now fitted and the wires going into the car, it's a matter of getting the wires behind the stereo head unit. The best way to do this is to get some spare thick cable and run it from behind the head unit and down towards the steering wheel. And what you'd find is that it's going to come out somewhere around the pedals towards the door. So what you want to do is feed the actual wire down to where the pedals are as well, tape them up, and then pull the wire through so that it comes through behind the stereo. And by doing that, the wire will be taut and it will be nowhere near the pedals. It will be up inside the dashboard somewhere. On the other side, with the glove box, what you're going to have to do is remove the 4 screws that hold the glove box in and just drop it down, which will give you the access that you need to get the wire from one side of the car to the head unit. And the extension cable for the front appears to have this plastic stuff on it. I think it's heat shield, which is pretty handy. But I'm going to run it around the edge like I did with the LED lights on the front of the car. I'm going to run the cable through the bulkhead, through the grommet, which I already have my amp going through. There we go. Just push that through. Now, as I'm pushing this through, it's going to come out behind the glove box. Now, I've already removed the glove box so that I could run the cables for the left mirror. So, I can just pull this through now. So that's the front one done, and now we have the rear one to do.
Alright, I'm not going to show you how to wire this up because I've already done a video on how to wire up a car in a Saab 9.3 and it's exactly the same as that. But basically, the main ISO cable connects to your Connects 2 loom, which you're going to buy separately. The key 1 and key 2 wires on the Teyes unit goes to the CAN bus decoder, which is on the Connects 2 loom that you're going to buy. I have a subwoofer in this car which is connected to the subwoofer in, and obviously I have the 360 system connected to this car as well, which is in there, and I've got the GPS antenna sitting on top of the vents, just underneath the top of the dashboard. The Wi-Fi antenna is just shoved behind the dashboard as well. That's pretty much it. So now I'm just going to basically push everything inside and just tuck some wires down the sides so that I can get this unit in. This is not a full-size double din unit, so I've got lots of space behind to play with, so this should be easy, he says. And then we'll just chuck the vents back in.
As it happens, my garden wasn't big enough to lay out the Teyes calibration sheets, so I have commandeered this part of road so that I can lay out the calibration sheets and actually get this done. So the first part of this is doing some measurements. So I have my tape measure here, and I've printed out the blog post on the Teyes website which shows you actually how to calibrate it, and I'm going to use it to write the different dimensions on this as well. Right, let's get on with it then. Right, at this point I think we're ready to actually input this data into the actual head unit, so let's do that now. Okay, so on the head unit what we need to do is we need to enter the 360 app, which is this here, and then we need to go into the settings, into perimeter, and then splice. And we need to use this one which has the 4 black squares, which is this one here. You can see all the cameras are working, and we can see the black boxes on each one. So now we're going to go to enter perimeters. Right, captain I assume is the total length of the car, which is 460. The car width we have down as 170. The car height we have down as 135. The wheelbase we have down as 270. So the rear back calibration cloth is 32 and the front calibration cloth is 40. Alright, we need to do the camera heights. 88, 90, 90. Lens type 2503. 6408. Start stitch. Okay, 1 goes here. 2 goes here. 3 goes here. But okay, so that worked perfectly fine. Left. Okay, this is where it's wrong. Done. That is awesome.
Let me show you this 360 camera system because it is awesome. Okay, so With the Teyes unit, you get this section on this widget on the dashboard, which allows you to run specific apps in a window, and you can see that the 360 app is showing in here. So you can see the car on the road. That is a live image of my car sitting on the road at the moment. So if I press this button here, it'll open full screen. So you've got a top-down view of my car along the side of the road, which is where I am at the moment. And you can see my car here. And just to show you it's live, I'm going to drive forward a little bit. So there you go. Right, so we're looking at a side now. So here's the front, the rear, the side, the other side, and if I just tap around this image here, you can see that it's showing me all the way around the car. And obviously 360 systems like this make it very, very easy to park. Now, if you didn't want the 3D, you can turn it to 2D, and that's just going to give you the raw images. So that's the camera looking out the front, that's the camera looking out the back, and there's the left and the right cameras there as well. And that shows both of the cameras. See from the top-down view how you are parking.